Hello, I'm Emmeline.
And I'm Kindy.
And welcome to Stuff with Moms, a podcast about shows, stories, and enjoying life. So, Kindy, how was your month?
You beat me. I was preoccupied with looking at my pages. It was good. School has started. So Emmeline, the younger, is in preschool. And that was a whirlwind because I had taken forever to get her APR. And then when I finally did, it wasn't the right circumstances. So I canceled and rescheduled, and she couldn't test until
she
had
ABR?
that done. It was her hearing test, but she's like completely under. And so she got her tubes done and did the hearing test, and she came back clear. So that was done. And then she didn't qualify for getting sign language lessons anymore. So that's over, unfortunately, but we're still using signs, but I don't have a good excuse now. So if I want to learn sign language, I really have to
push yourself
down and do it. Yeah. Yeah. It's not convenient anymore. It's more of I have to really force myself to do it. But anyway, so she finally got tested. And so she is in preschool now. It's so weird. I wasn't as emotional as I was with Anders. I did get sad the week that I met the teacher and took her to the preschool, and but I didn't cry or get. No, I did.
You cried with Anders?
I cried a little bit. Oh yeah, yeah. It was weird. It was weird because I figured I'd be fine because he's starting kindergarten, and he's all in daycare all day, and he did kindergarten all day. But no, it was like his whole life flashed before me, and he was already moving off to kindergarten. I had no more influence over him anymore.
That's
he was
not
going
true.
to kindergarten.
That never happens.
I know.
Because my mom she's still a huge part of my life. You know, my parents are. So
yeah,
it's just.
Yeah. But that's where my mind went.
It's okay. My
over.
sister did the same thing where she cried when her kids went off to school. One of my sisters did, and I was like,
"Oh yeah,
you did? That's
right?
Weird."
It's weird. It is. It's weird, and I'm fully aware of how illogical it is. But I'm a woman, and when do I have logical feelings?
It's
Never.
True. That's true.
So yeah, and Anders is in first grade, and his teacher's awesome. And
sorry, I didn't mean that to sound bad. You're weird for crying. I just didn't cry because I'm an unemotional maniac. So it's not a bad thing. I didn't mean that to come off that, Kindy, you're awful because... Sorry.
You're good.
Okay, go back.
I didn't take it that way. I didn't take it that way at all because I know you, and that's not you. So I know you as not as much of a crier as me until you got older and had kids, but...
That's true.
I'm always the crier in movies, so. But now we've switched. You cry more now than I do. So yeah, and it's funny to talk with different parents and their reactions with their kids. Some are like, "Heck yeah, get out of this house," and others are sad, and others are happy sad, and yeah, it's weird. Yeah, and life is pretty normal, which I'm grateful for. I'm happy that we have a low-key life. Because I talked to my boss, and her poor life, she got sick. I'm not surprised because she's stressed all the time because her husband has cancer, and so they're battling that. And she's working full-time, and so she's dealing with that. And then she's got a kid still living at home, so she's dealing with that. And then her daughter just moved, so she was dealing with that. So I'm happy that there's nothing going on. So it's nice to be when people ask, "How's life?" I used to be like, "Oh, my life's boring," but it's I'm grateful my life is boring. So, yeah. So since my life is boring, how was your month?
So girls' camp was awesome. I thought I could talk about that a little bit. So I went to be the astronomer on call, and then it ended up being cloudy every night I was there. But I got to do an introduction during the day, talk about what we were going to talk about and kind of talk about the stars in general and astronomy in general, which was really fun. and I got a few questions, and we had a good time there. But then it was cloudy every night, so we didn't actually get to look at the stars. Oh, it was so sad. And so I went up to the camp leaders, and I was like, I guess this means you have to call me back for next year.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, I don't know if that will happen or not, but I would love to go back, because like being with the girls and just like there's good like spiritual experiences that they get to have, and you get to be there and be part of it, and kind of, and all the fun you have too, and like the songs and the cool things that you do. My favorite experience was they did this like faith walk, and they went around to all these different stations, hear kind of like a quick little talk by one of the leaders, be able to write in their journals or write their thoughts or look up scriptures or anything. And then you go to the next spot and the next spot. And then it ended with a walk into the big main room. And they had, beautiful music going, and the lights were down, except for like, the little fake candles were littered along the path up to the seats, and everybody sat down, and then we sang a bunch more songs, like spiritual songs. And then the stake president got up and he spoke. And then they handed out letters that the girls had from their parents, written ahead of time. And they just got these like love letters essentially from back home, and they got to read them, and everybody starts crying, and oh, they love me, and
yeah,
God loves me too, and it's just so nice. And then we sang more songs, and then that ended. But that's just like one of my favorite things, is just them realizing how loved they truly are. So that was great. And yeah, the boys started up school like a month ago, because they start here really early.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. So at the beginning of August. And so they've just been going along. They're glad for...
What grades are they in now?
So Lorenzo is a sophomore.
Oh my gosh.
10th grade.
Oh my gosh.
And Clark is in 2nd grade. So.
Dang.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, they're doing great. Like, when the teachers all know your kid's name, it's either because they're really good or they're really bad.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of worried when like the principal and all the teachers know Clark's name, right? And I was like, oh no. But then like all last year he was getting all these like awards for excelling in all the subjects, right?
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, okay, it's because he's the really smart kid, not because he's the bad kid. But yeah. So yeah, we're just plugging along, and we have our weekly dates, and that's always just so fun. Like having one-on-one time with either Kyle and I or one of the boys, and just being able to spend time with them throughout the week is one of my favorite things.
So with your date nights, how do you alternate it again?
So whoever's with one person, the other two are together. So if it's a date night with me and Clark, then it's also a date night for Kyle and Lorenzo. And then if it's Kyle and I's date, it's Lorenzo and Clark's date.
Oh, okay.
So
do you guys actually call it a date when it's your two boys are hanging out?
Yes.
That's funny.
But yeah.
How long is there like a time frame that you do this?
It's just that evening. So we have it's kind of like after school they do their homework, and if they don't have homework and their chores, and if they're done with those things, then they can have free time to do whatever they want. And then we have dinner, and after dinner that's when the date night is.
Okay.
So, and it isn't every day because there's there's only 3 nights of date nights. So
for the week, because you do it mostly on the weekend, right?
We do it through the week. Usually we try and keep
okay.
Saturday clear. But when like Clark was in soccer, that got tricky, and it's kind of like when we could fit it in. You know, It depends on what's going on because we have activity and we have family home evening one night, and so those kind of take up the evenings. So it's usually Tuesday and Thursday and Friday that we do our date nights. So
okay, nice. That's cool.
And someday Lorenzo's gonna be old and get a job, and then it's gonna probably dwindle off, or we'll just do date nights with Clark, or we'll have to fit him in on weird times. I don't know. When that happens, when we get there, we'll figure that out. But for now, he still isn't working, so we still do it.
Is he getting closer to get his driver's permit?
Oh my gosh. So I talked to him about that, and so we know the steps we've got to take. We haven't taken those steps yet, but we have practiced driving with him a few times, like in parking lots and stuff. So he does mow the lawn, so that helps him kind of get a feel for driving, because we have a riding lawnmower.
Oh, okay.
And so he gets a practice in quotes, and it kind of helps him. He did it the first couple times he used it. He ran into one of the drain pipes and the air conditioner.
Oh, no.
So it helped, I think, because now he's more spatially aware, if that makes sense.
That's good. Yeah.
So I think it was a good thing. So yeah. All right.
Awesome.
I have the word of the month. So it is valediction.
Oh my gosh. It is when the valedictorian gets up and does their speech. It's called valediction. That's my guess. I'm just going to go with that.
You are on the right roots. Like vala means to a farewell.
Oh, okay.
So the definition is an act of bidding farewell or taking leave. So
okay. So I was halfway right. Kind of.
You
So instead of saying goodbye, you say, okay, right now we're going to do the valediction.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Exactly. Or you just run out really fast. That's also a valediction.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll try that at someone's house.
Well, it's just taking leave. So
weird.
As long as you
leave the house or leave wherever. Oh, okay. So I do that every day. So you have a topic that you wanted to talk about. How about you introduce that for us?
Okay, so I went to my doctor's and had my doctor's appointment and stuff. And they drew my blood and did all the normal things that they do once a year for me, where they see how I'm doing, my body's doing health-wise. And this is my cystic fibrosis doctor. And my blood work came back that I am pre-diabetic. So I could get there eventually if I don't switch up some things. And so I've been thinking a lot about my health. And
you didn't ever think you'd have this problem, did you?
So what's funny is that's what I got to thinking about. I was like, my CF has just been so prominent in my health that I was like, I'm going to die of CF someday, right? And now that I'm getting older and, all these medicines that have helped me and made it so I feel so healthy, I'm like, I have to do other things about my health instead of just the CF things, right?
Yeah, you could die of diabetes.
I could die of cancer now. So that's another thing is he's like, so you're 40 and it's time that we do a colonoscopy. because people with CF have a higher chance of getting colon cancer or rectal cancer because of our digestive system and just the way that CF affects our body in that way, that we have 5 to 10 times greater of a chance of getting colon or rectal cancer.
Dang.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And if you're a CF person that got a transplant of some sort, it increases to like 20 times more likely to get colon or rectal cancer.
Here's a life-altering, helpful lung. Oh, and it could cause cancer for you.
But the thing is about colon cancer is if you catch it, you're fine, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And that's why they're like, get tested. It's just so this is why my thoughts have been on health and what I'm doing about it and stuff. Staying healthy is I've just been thinking about it a lot. And you're like, colonoscopy, what it involves, you have to fast and then you have to take this thing that clears out your intestines so they can go up in there and there's not like, fecal matter in the way, right?
I think we should call it fectal. No one will know what we're talking about.
I was thinking rectal cancer and fectal came out. No,
okay.
Fecal matter in the way. And so they give you like Go Lightly, which makes you have the runs and clears it out, right?
Yeah.
When I was younger, I'd get intestinal blockages. And in order to help clear them, I had to take Go Lightly. And it made me sick, where I'd just puke and get diarrhea at the same time. It was just a horrible experience, right? And I had to, my mom mixed it, bless her heart, with, bless her heart. I can't believe I just said that. With Kool-Aid.
You are in the South. Oh.
And cherry Kool-Aid, which was a treat in our house because we didn't usually have sugary drinks. But I cannot, to this day, drink cherry Kool-Aid. Yeah. Cherry flavored Jell-O, cherry flavored pretty much anything because of Go Lightly, right? Like, it makes me gag. Just the idea of having to take Go Lightly again really puts it off for me. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'll just die of colon cancer. And isn't that a horrible, thought process? No, I'll just not get a colonoscopy ever. And that's where my brain is right now. And so, a week ago, I was like, you know what? I need to look into this. And so I went online and I found out all that information about colon and rectal cancer with people with CF. And I was just like, is this enough information that I'll decide to do it? And then I was like, you know what? I should look up how much more likely people with CF dying of cancer is. Maybe that will. But it's not it's the prevalence of cancer in people with CF went up because we're living longer. We're living longer, but it went up from 0.3% to 1%. So 1% of people with CF die of cancer. And I'm like, is that enough that I'll take Go Lightly? And I'm like, it isn't that bad, Emmeline. It isn't that bad. Just do it. So anyway, that's where my brain was with health. So I've kind of changed my diet because of pre-diabetes. And I've been worrying with myself about getting a colonoscopy. How about you? How have you changed over the years with how you handle your health?
I'm terrible at it. Just awful. Because I was blessed with high metabolism, now as an adult and have had kids, my body has changed so much that I pretty much stay the same weight. I'm 176 is where I'm kind of at. And I wouldn't say, well.
And Kindy's tall, you guys. She's what,
Yeah.
5'9"?
Yes.
So that isn't like, for me, I'm short. So we have a different.
That on you, yeah. That amount of weight on you would look a lot different than it does on me.
Yes.
Like I'm kind of stout. Like I wouldn't say I'm overweight. However, I did something a while back with like one of the jobs I was at, and they had say that medically I'm overweight.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm okay. Like I could lose weight. And so I'm just really bad at it. I did lose a lot when I went off sugar, to where I wasn't having any as much, or hardly any, just with food. Or like if I was cooking, it was like, add a teaspoon of sugar. I wouldn't add it because it's like, why? This is dinner. It was some recipe thing I was using. I was like, pass. And so I need to go back to that. I signed up for this because I do need to do better. Like I feel my body getting old and telling me I have to change, because I'm tired all the time, and when I get up from sitting, it takes me longer than 30 seconds to get up.
No, it doesn't.
No,
that's an exaggeration.
It is. It takes me longer than 3 seconds.
There you go.
To get up, and then once I am up, it takes me like 10 seconds to like straighten up as I'm walking.
And not 10 seconds. It's probably like just longer than it used to be.
Yeah, everything is longer than it used to be. And now sleeping is starting to change. And in November, so when we're recording this, it's September. But here in a couple months, I'm going to be 40. And I just like watching my husband, he hit 40, and it was like his body's like, okay, we're out. I'm out. We're going to just fall apart. Like, and his body just started just falling apart. He does have a very laborious job though, so that I'm sure has a lot to do with it. But and he does work out, and he's gotten a lot better. He started a stretch, which is really good. So
good.
But I'm also to the mindset of like, I can be 40 and still have the chance to like make good habits, because you see like these 40 and 50-year-olds that are like still moving really well. And granted, they probably started earlier than I am. So by the time I'm 60, maybe I'll be like, I can still move. But I gotta start. So it's in the forefront of my mind. I just am dragging my feet to start doing it. I did sign up. So the company that I'm with has started this program where you can sign up for this weight loss program for free. And I've never done a weight loss program. So this is my first time doing it. And I'm really bad at it, because I'm supposed to weigh myself every day and track what I eat. And I set a goal to take a walk in the morning and at night. And I've rarely done any of those. So I can't even do like the basics. So I'm struggling to even like start heading in the right direction. And I bought like 3 gallons of mint chocolate ice cream. So I guess I shouldn't say 3 gallons, 1.5. But Matt is helping me eat them. So once those are gone, I'm no more ice cream, no more chocolate, no more of that.
You
so
can't,
it won't be in the
you
house.
can't just do away with it, but you just because
then
you go without it, go without it, and then you splurge.
Actually, when I went off sugar, I was surprisingly okay with it. Like I just stopped. I didn't have any more. And then when I was like, okay, I'll have some sugar, I just eased into it. Like it wasn't, I don't know what it was. It was weird, because I really thought that I'd be like gorging on sugar. And it was even I like picked the worst time too. It was like Thanksgiving and Christmas time.
During the holidays.
Yeah, during the holidays, I was like, no sugar. So, and it's not like I was completely no sugar, because there's sugar in food, there's sugar in, so like not that crazy. If I could, I would. So like I have peanut, I mean, it has helped, because I buy peanut butter now with no sugar. I applesauce with no sugar and honey with no sugar. No, I'm just kidding. But what was the other thing? Oh, ketchup with no sugar. It's just insane how much sugar
is
in
all the
everything.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like even when I was cooking, like there was a recipe that called literally for like teaspoons and like one of them was like a tablespoon of sugar. I was like, why? This is dinner. This is not dessert.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was weird. So yeah, I think after that I'll just be like, okay, I'm done with sugar. And then I feel like that'll kind of help me move in the right direction and then kind of ease sugar back into my diet. Because you're right. I mean, if you cut it completely out, it'll go like I am right now. I mean, it just took forever and engorged myself in chocolate. I don't know what it is. My mentality of this, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be healthy, but then all I want is chocolate for breakfast in the morning or ice cream for breakfast. Like that is where my mind goes. It's like, hey, you're gonna start eating healthy. Nope, all you want is sugar. All you want is. It's really annoying.
As soon as you tell your brain you can't have it, then it's like, that's all I want.
That's all it wants. So that's where my mentality. And it's funny because this health program that I'm on, I get emails and I think for me, I get overloaded really easily with everything that's going on because there's emails I don't check, mail I don't open, text messages I don't answer or I don't read. I actually don't read because if I read it, I'll forget it and not respond. And so days and weeks will go by and I've totally like been a jerk. So there's texts I don't read. There's emails I don't answer. So to do a weight loss program where they're sending me articles in my email and on my phone of like pinging articles and stuff like that, it's not a lot, but it's too much. Because I gave them feedback. I was like, for one thing, if you're going to help somebody who's never done a program before, doing one thing at a time is more helpful. Because they're like, start small. And it's like, okay, you have to weigh yourself every day. And then you have to tell us what you eat every day. And granted, thankfully, it's not calorie counting. So there is that. That is nice. But it's like 3 meals a day, any snacks, you got to tell us. And then you got to read these articles, and then you got to do this other thing. I can't remember what they're
like. This so doesn't like, feel
I'm already
small.
I'm already feeling overwhelmed. Like I feel overwhelmed in my normal life, and now I'm adding this. No. So I've been dragging my feet with that as well because I apparently get overwhelmed really easy, and when I do, I just don't handle it well, and I just ignore everything. I don't know why I get overwhelmed super easy. I think it's just, I don't know. Maybe everybody does and they just handle it differently. And I'm just aware that that's what's happening. And
you handle it the way you handle it.
I handle it the way I handle it. And I'm okay to do that. I should stop expecting myself to just be on top of everything because that's exhausting and will never happen. I do not have that personality. Anyway. Lots of rambling, but that's where I'm at health-wise. You're way ahead of me.
I'm not. I really am not. I'm like really struggling.
You've changed your sugar intake. That's good.
That's true. I have altered my diet, so hopefully it worked. And the next time I get my glucose tolerance test, I'll pass with flying colors. So. They'll be like, oh yeah, you aren't even pre-diabetic anymore. You're fine. And then I'll be like, yay, this worked. Woo. Now to our main segment. We are doing Smallville Season 2, episodes 9 through 12. So I had a lot to say about 2 of the episodes and not very much to say about 2 of the episodes. So we'll see how...
How it goes. It'll go
how
great.
It goes, yeah. So, episode 9, I called it JTT.
That's awesome. It's called Dichotic.
Dichotic. Oh, okay. When I was a, little teenager, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the heartthrob for my age group.
Oh, man.
And he is the guest star in this episode.
Yeah.
So it starts out with Lex is getting a ticket from the meter maid. And he has some anger and takes a golf club and beats up the meter maid's car. And so throughout this episode, Lex is going to anger management and meets up with a girl in anger management class. And is interested in her. And then Clark in this episode...
Well, because he met her before in...
at the hospital, because she's a doctor.
Yeah. She's a doctor.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Jonathan Taylor Thomas's character is like this really, what's the word? High...
Overachiever?
Yes, overachiever. Thank you. Anyway, he's a sophomore, same grade as Lana and Clark and Chloe and Pete. He's their age, but he is hoping to go to college next year. He's been taking like night classes and college courses to just like complete his high school degree so that he can go on to college. And so you kind of have his storyline is that he has a kryptonite power that he can create another one of himself. And he does it by like shooting another growth of himself out of his back. One of JTT the guys is dating Chloe and the other one's dating Lana. And Clark sees this and is like, he's dating both of you at once. He doesn't realize that there's two of them, but he's like, you guys should know this. And they kind of get all, no, he told me not to tell Lana and he told me not to tell Chloe. And he's like, you're getting duped. So anyway, so there's that. There's the summary. First off, have you ever gotten a stupid traffic ticket?
Yeah, but I've never thought of it as stupid because I've always been doing the wrong thing.
Well, yeah, you're doing the wrong thing, but you're like, okay, so I'll share my story. What happened was this is when we lived together at Cinnamon Tree.
Cinnamon. Oh, okay.
And I worked in the middle of the night, right? So I drove about 20 miles that took about 30 minutes up to Highland. And I had to drive through a town called American Fork. And American Fork cops kind of had a reputation for not being very lenient. And so whenever I drove through there, I'd make sure to follow all the rules, right? Mm-hmm. Just be doubly sure. So I'm driving through, and a cop was coming toward me. And this is the middle of the night, so like I'm the only car on the road, right? Other than him.
Yeah. He
flips a U-ey and gets behind me, right? Mm-hmm. And is following along. And I'm not breaking any of the rules, So after about 3 miles, he turns off his headlights and turns them back on after a few seconds, and then turns on his overhead lights to pull me over. And I was like, okay, what's going on? So I pull over, and he comes up, and he's like, did you know that your license plate lights are out? And I was like,
oh my gosh.
No, I didn't. He wrote me a ticket instead of a warning. Like, where's the mercy, dude? And I had to pay, I think it was $150 because my license plate lights were out, right?
Oh my gosh.
So when Lex is taking out the meter maid's car, I was like, you know what? Sometimes
you just wanna, especially with how smug he was.
Yeah, he was. He was kind of a punk guy. But at the same time, after Lex beats up his car, you kind of see him like, oh no. Like, you kind of really see the actor that played the meter maid guy. He what meter man.
Meter man. Yeah, we'll call meter man. Yeah.
You kind of saw like the heartbreak in his eyes, like, now I have to get my car fixed kind of look in his eyes. And I was like, oh, that poor guy. Like, he's just doing his job. Lex was breaking the law. Yeah. He was writing a ticket. And that cop, he was doing his job. I shouldn't be angry at him. He gave me a ticket for my license plate lights not working.
Yeah. But it's such a small thing. It's like, seriously, crime out there is so dead that you're pulling me over for my license plate light? Yeah.
Anyway. What was one of your thoughts on this episode?
If there was two of you, what would you do?
Ooh, that's a good question. Accomplish? I would send one of me to work, and then the other me would stay home and do like fun house projects.
Right?
Yeah, I'd build the furniture that I want and do the like improvements on the house that I want. So one of me is making the cash that I can do the projects with, and the other one's actually doing the projects. That would be cool.
That would be cool.
What about you?
I'd probably do the same thing. One person's doing, especially on the weekends, one person is doing the house chores and the other person's making quilts or reading a book or playing with the kids or
That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that I thought was interesting was JTT's character kind of identified himself as this kid that succeeded, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it made me think of how, like, we shouldn't identify ourselves by the things you succeed at, because then if you fail, you feel like you lose your identity, which is, I think, one of the struggles he was having and why he became like this crazy person, because he didn't want to lose the chance at this scholarship, the Luther scholarship. Yeah. And he killed the shop teacher because the shop teacher made it so he didn't have a 4.0 anymore. Mm-hmm. You need to identify yourself as a child of God. Something that wouldn't change depending on what things happen, I guess.
Yeah, well, and it's almost in line with the materialistic aspect of living. Because if you put all your stock in your successes, the moment you fail, everything comes crumbling down. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, if you put too much stock in your failures, you're not going to be able to see yourself past that ability. Like, failure is good because it gives you the opportunity to find out who you really are, like how you handle failure and how you move on from that, because everybody has to. But if you just focus on the fact that I suck, I failed at this, I can't do anything, like, that's not healthy.
Right.
So I think just
how you can take that opportunity to improve, and that shows the kind of character you have. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah. Do you think Mr. Kent is being, I can never remember his name, so I just call him Mr. Kent, but do you think Jonathan is being too harsh with Martha for working with Lionel?
Yes, until later. Like, later you see, okay, yeah, she probably shouldn't be working for him. But leading up to now, it's like, she's a smart person, Jonathan. Yeah. She knows what she can handle, and she knows what's going on. And Mr. Kent thinks he knows all, and that she shouldn't do it. And that's up to her. You know what? That's up to her. What about you? What did you think?
Oh, I thought so. I thought he was being way too harsh, and just watching that struggle between those two, it was very uncomfortable for me, because I hate it. I don't like confrontation. I hate it when things are not flowing. I hate it when things are not going right. And so just watching that, it's like, oh, I can feel how awful that she feels for the fact that he's like just being such a jerk.
Yeah.
It's like just because you are not happy with her working there, like she is trying to help, because farms are hard to maintain, and if there is no income for that, it will drown. It will go under very fast. And so just the fact that she's trying to work and she enjoys it to try and help bring in extra cash, like his feeling towards it is so aggravating. It's like, freaking get over it or deal with it quicker, because you are not helping in the struggle of running a farm at all. Like he almost like is cutting her out of being a co-farm,
being a help to their family. Yeah. So it's important to support the people you love, even if you don't necessarily like. Obviously, if she was doing something bad, that would make sense. But that would be not.
Yeah.
She's not.
Well, and she wouldn't, because it's Martha. Like they know each other. You know, like they live together. They are growing with each other. Because I can't remember. I think she talked to him, or she just went out and got the job.
I think she talked to him about it, but he was like, I don't, kind of like what he did with Clark with the ring, where he was like, I don't think you should do it, but it's up to you, essentially.
Yeah. So it's kind of that thing where it's like, you talked about it, you agreed with it, although he copped out of that decision, saying what he really wanted to say and was like, it's up to you. Where it's like, okay, but you can't be pissed off at her for choosing to improve your life situation. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I thought it was too. I thought he was being bullheaded.
Yeah, he has a lot, but that's one of his The thing about it is he maintains that personality trait throughout the show. So I like that their characters are what they are throughout. Like, they don't like all of a sudden do something weird, like in some shows that you watch that you're like, that's out of character. No. They stay who they are, and it's
they're really good at that. Like the writers who did this, I love, and I'm not a writer, so it always fascinates me how they get a character and like they stick with it. Because you do get to know these people, and you like kind of are familiar with them, and I love that. It's very well written. Okay, what's your thing?
Okay, so in the episode, JTT has a pager that he uses, right? And it was funny because Clark uses it against him to kind of finally figure it out that he has a duplicate self. So he had him meet one place at a time and another place at the exact same time. So Pete was like, he's here, and Clark's like, he's here at the same time. There's two of them. And so they figured it out. But I was like, I turned to Lorenzo was watching this one with me, and I turned to him. I was like, do you know what a pager is? Because I was curious, because they're kind of antiquated technology unless you're like a doctor, because doctors still use them. Sometimes hospitals don't have good like coverage, cell phone coverage, and so cell phones aren't always reliable within a hospital, and it's faster for them. But I asked Lorenzo, I was like, do you know what they are? And he was like, is it where like you set your cell phone down in a room and then you can go in the other room and use the pager to figure out where your cell phone is? I'm like, no, it's not a location device for a cell phone.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, he had no idea. And so I kind of explained it. And he's like, oh, okay.
I totally skipped that. Like I never had one. I don't think I had friends that had one. Like I knew of them. I knew they existed. I kind of get the concept of how it works, but I do not understand how they
Oh,
function.
you don't know how they work.
because I understand that you have to call a number, but then how do you get, I guess that's the point, the thing that I don't get. Like, how do you get the message? Because don't you, like, you see the number that's calling, that's like paging you, but then
you can also
like
leave a
say
message.
something. Yeah, you can like type in something.
Yeah,
to
so
have
it's kind of like
call now or
texting essentially before there was texting.
Okay. So you have to dial the number and then dial your message. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have one?
No. I had friends that had one.
Okay. So you paged people.
I have paged people.
Yeah, I never have. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So when you wanted to reach out to them, what were the steps that you had to take?
You just call their pager and leave. I just always just left my number. They called me back.
They call you. Oh, okay. Well, they wouldn't call you back because you never called them. You paged them.
Right. So they'd call me from me paging them. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay. At the end of the episode, there is a confrontation between Chloe and Lana because Clark was trying to help Chloe and Lana. This repeated not believing Clark is really getting old. Like, it's getting old. It's aggravating. It's like, are you freaking serious? How many seasons? We're in 2 seasons. That's 2 years you've known Clark, and they even knew him before that. And you don't trust him at this point? It's like, how many hoops does this guy have to jump through? Anyway.
Right.
So at the end, they're like, we were talking all night, and we've decided that our main problem is you. And then he like goes off on him. He's like, I'm sick. He like finally says, I'm sick of you guys not trusting me or whatever.
Right.
None of it matters because the next episode, they all go back to the same thing. It's really annoying. But when he leaves, after he's done confronting them, and he's like, we're all friends. We're all friends. That's it. Which is, I saw the light of hope. I'm like, okay, everybody's moving on. No. Anyway, but he smiles. You see him smile, and then he goes and he walks off after he leaves the cafe. Why does he smile?
He stood up for himself, and I think he's like, I feel good about what I said, and it's just, I don't know. I thought it was kind of more of it was a relief, and I'm happy with how that turned out.
Oh, okay.
Kind of smile. So
yeah, okay.
How did you take it?
I didn't. I was like, why is he smiling? I'll ask Emmeline. She'll know. Because I've done that to you before, where something happens in a movie, and I'm like, I don't get it. What's the context? Sometimes people's behaviors perplex me, so I have to come to you.
Well, one more thing I wanted to say on this episode is like, I don't remember who said it. I didn't write it down. Oh, Clark says it. So at one point, Clark says, what kind of person asks the 2 people he cares about to lie for him? And he's referencing the JTT character. He's like, yeah. And the answer to that is superheroes. They ask the people that they love to lie for them all the time. Like, they have to. Because if people know their secret identity or that they're they have to lie all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, that's probably like an ironic line.
Yeah, it is. And so I thought it was so funny that they would say that in this show. Yeah. I was like, oh, that was a good one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was good. Okay, so the next episode, 10.
I called it The Caves.
It's called Skinwalker.
Oh.
Which is weird because it's mostly about caves.
Yep.
Not about the skinwalkers, but
they're in there.
They are.
Okay, so in this one, Clark finds these caves that are about to be destroyed, and they have the hieroglyphs of this Native American tribe that lives there, and they don't want the caves destroyed. And Clark gets in there, and he's like, whoa, these, I think, have to do with me. They have like the language that's on his ship is written on the walls. the alien language. And so he's like, I need to protect these because they'll tell me about my history. He's hoping. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he meets this girl in the caves and they're interested in each other. And there's the rundown of that. So the first thing is Martha has dumb lines sometimes. And it comes out quite frequently. That you're like, that was stupid to say, Martha. So Clark's mom, one of the things she said in here is she's trying to argue why it's important that the caves don't get destroyed to the chief of the tribe. And she says, I understand the importance of these caves better than anyone. What does that mean, Martha? Why do you...
I think I remember that.
Why do you understand it better than their tribe? Why? Tell me more, Martha. Why? Better than anyone, huh?
Yeah.
Some random lady that moved into Smallville better than us, huh?
Yeah, isn't even from that area.
Like, doesn't faze them at all. Like, she's not a good superhero mom, is what I can say.
Even if that's true, like, she still doesn't know anything. Like, they're just symbols to her. So It's like, what are you talking about? You still know nothing. Like, yeah, like you said, they know way more than what you think you know.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of like that mindset where it's like, I know something too. So I wonder if that's kind of what they're trying to get at. Like, she's trying to portray that she's not an idiot. She's a farmer, but she knows more. But she's saying it at the worst times in the worst way.
In the worst way to say, I actually have an alien that lives in my house. Like, that's what all that says to me. Like, ugh, I don't like it. Anyway, go ahead. What do you got to...
I think I didn't really have a whole lot with this one, but I did think that maybe the caves are Clark's. They turn into his fortress of solitude.
Ooh.
My thinking. I've seen more episodes, so I'm starting to move away from that. But I think the caves could be his fortress of solitude.
Deep cut Kindy.
At some point, yeah. Deep cut or canon, I don't know.
Okay, so Clark at one point is talking to Lex about Kyla, who's the Native American girl, and Lana. Lex is like, sorry, do you care about this girl? And Clark says, it's a completely different feeling when the person likes you back. And that's so true, and it made me think, like, did you ever like somebody and they didn't like you? And then the first time somebody did like you back, like, what was the...
It means that much more. It's like that much more of a high kind of a thing. Like when your relationship is starting to blossom and because you like someone and then you find out they like you. It's like...
You actually can have a relationship with that person at that point.
Yeah, it's more satisfying. It's better because of the fact that they like you back, because it's not one-sided.
Yes.
It's almost like the double side makes it that much more appreciated and more gratifying and more satisfying and more,
it turns it from a crush to a potential relationship.
Yes.
So, yeah, I like it too. So it's understanding that Clark's like, this is actually nice.
I think that they are setting it up to, and I don't know how writers do it, but I think that Clark is hesitant because I thought this, I can't remember which episode it was, or maybe it was just watching all of these. I think he likes her, but he's kind of holding back because there's something about Lana that he doesn't fully trust. And he can't, you know how you don't realize something until later? So he hasn't realized that yet. He likes her. He wants to like her. He wants to have a relationship with her. But there is something about her that he cannot fully trust. But instead of acknowledging that, he's ignoring it because he's so infatuated with her and the idea of her that he can't move past it. I don't know what has to take. I'm sure they'll do something where he'll finally move away from her. But there is something, it took me this long, but I think there's something about her, because if a guy likes something, he'll make it happen, and he holds back, and you can see him hold back.
Yep.
When he asks her out, it's like, you're not going out because something's going to happen. Somebody's going to need your help, and you can't do it. And he never asks her to come with him to help. Ever. Like, it's always Chloe or it's Pete. Even before Pete knew what was going on, he would ask those two people. Yeah. It was never Lana. So it's just the fact that, like, this relationship, I mean, obviously is never going to happen because it's Lana. It's not Lois. Her name's not Lois. Big red flag there. But, and granted, hopefully he has relationships before that one, but they keep letting other things get in the way because there is a hesitation. So the next episode is 11.
And
what did you call this one?
Whitney?
That's a good one. Visage.
Oh. So for this one, Lana's finally feeling like she's gonna, and Clark, they're finally feeling like, okay, maybe let's do something. Let's do something about this relationship. Let's maybe go out. And in walks Whitney, Lana's boyfriend from season 1, that he asked her to wait for him, and he's been in the military overseas, and she's been writing to him. She ended up writing him a breakup video, but he came back with amnesia and doesn't remember, and he starts acting weird, and turns out he's not Whitney, but a character from last season, Tina Greer, who was obsessed with Lana and being her friend. This time she's obsessed with Lana and wants to, like,
have a relationship
with Lana. Yes, girlfriend.
She loves Lana. She's admitted.
She's just obsessed with Lana. Okay.
Yeah.
Lex is having trust. He can't trust anybody in his life. And that was the first thing I wanted to talk about, is like Lex has trust issues.
He has his girlfriend. Well, he follows his dad, but then he saw his dad and his girlfriend
talking
meeting,
prior to him ever. Yeah. And so he's like, let me say a few more times. So you see this part of Lex that, instead of being like, oh, that was weird that my dad and my girlfriend ran into each other, he kind of like deep dives into it and trying to figure out why that happened. And you see that he has all these trust issues. And then you kind of look at who his father is, and you're like, that kind of makes sense.
Yep.
His dad,
Which,
who raised...
I want to know what kind of background you can do that looks into someone's bank account.
Yeah.
Like, that seems illegal. Because at some point he says he wired you $100,000, or I can't remember how much it was, but maybe he found out that it was wired to her bank account. Right.
Well, maybe he could look into his dad's business account.
Well, he would have said, I looked into my dad's business account and he wired you this much money. No, he says, in your bank, there is $100,000.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sorry,
episode flaw.
Yeah, that was, Or maybe he has that much money and he can go bribe the bank teller to tell him how much money is in her account and to see the interactions there. I don't know.
Yeah.
He is rich.
He is.
When you have a lot of money, he can break a lot of rules, apparently.
Yep, and you see him doing it a lot.
Because he has trust issues.
Yeah.
What did you want to talk about? With this one,
I guess I could say I was annoyed that Lana and Clark are back to playing their stupid stupid thing of like tiptoeing around each other's like for each other, and then just a repeat of no one believing Clark. So annoying.
Yeah.
After he said, "You guys have got to stop not believing me," and they're like, "Screw you, we're gonna not believe you because that's how we get episodes made."
Yeah. Well, there's this point where there's a soldier that comes to Whitney's mom's house to tell her, that Whitney's dead overseas, but he never gets to that point because, Whitney/Tina walks in and wails on him with a bat and kills him.
Yeah, right in front of Whitney's mom. Poor lady. Yeah.
Didn't know that wasn't Whitney. That was super violent, and I was just curious, when did you figure out it wasn't Whitney? Was it when he actually changed into Tina Greer, or did you kind of figure it out before then? Because I know war changes people, so maybe he just came back crazy.
Yeah. So I've seen this episode before, but I didn't remember the specifics.
Oh, okay.
I just remembered that Whitney was crazy, or Whitney had gotten some like parasite or something. I was getting them all mixed up, and I just remembered Whitney wasn't right. Okay. And so I kind of had that going into it. And so when he ripped the door of the bathroom off, I was like, okay, was he a robot and he like took over? Was it one of his buddies that got into kryptonite or whatever? I couldn't remember. Oh, okay. But then when I saw it was Tina, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. So I kind of knew something was up already going into it. So well, unfortunately, I don't have it was this moment I knew something was going on. So
because I was trying to. It's been so long since I watched it the first time that I was like this was. I'm sure this was when the show was out back, 20 years ago or whatever. When it first came out, that I saw this, and so I don't remember what my reaction was. It was probably when he transformed into Tina that I was like, "Oh, it's Tina!"
Yeah. Well, and I hate Lana. She's such a freaking coward. She just lets everything happen to her, and it's so annoying because instead of being like, well, Whitney, I sent you a video. We're broken up. Like, we're not together. She just goes along with it for a little bit because he needs her. It's such a cop-out. It is such a cop-out, and they use it every time, except when it's Clark is in a hot mess. They'll just tell him whatever. But when it's somebody else, it's, no, we're going to tiptoe around this person. Oh, it's so annoying.
I just thought that they had this opportunity where Whitney died in combat, right? Mm-hmm. And they could have done so many things with it that I wonder why they went this route. Because, now, I'm not a writer or anything, and that's beyond me, right? Yeah. TV show writer. But I was like, they could have had a more, respectful way of doing it. Because one of the things Jonathan says, Clark's like, I don't know if I should go to the, homecoming party for Whitney or not, Yeah. I finally feel like I'm going somewhere with Lana, and he shows up and ruins it, and now I don't want to. And Jonathan's like, no, he has served our country, and he deserves your respect. So you're going to that party. And I really liked that, because there's some things that I think deserve that sort of respect and honor, and that they did that with Whitney's homecoming. I really liked it. But Clark goes to Jonathan at one point, and then toward the end of the episode, and he was like, I got to thinking about what Whitney did, and his fighting for the country, and it made me wonder if I could ever do something like that. And Jonathan's like, of course you would. You are one of the bravest kids I know. But it made me have that question. that do I have the courage of a soldier? I mean, I know you do because you did that. But like, do I? And I don't think I do. I don't think I could sign up for a life military career. I think I'm a wuss, and I would run away, and I wouldn't be able to shoot somebody, and I wouldn't be able to stand and hold a line in a fight. Like, that is not me, and I do not have the courage of a soldier.
I think you're looking at it wrong, because that is something that is more like shooting someone or holding a line is more a frontline type of thing, and more of a man's, like, they have the mental and physical makeup.
But isn't that a qualification like that you have to be able to do those things in order to join the military?
No, because I signed up to be in the military, and I didn't sign up to be on the front line. I signed up to do something on the back end.
Yeah, but don't you still have to be able to do those things?
Yeah.
Okay, see? Yeah. So you have to be able to, in case you get called to that.
But I didn't sign up thinking I'm going to have to hold the line. I signed up thinking I want to serve my country. Yeah. I didn't think I'm going to have to kill somebody in order to do that. I thought I could take a bullet for someone. I didn't think I could kill someone. Like, I think that's where, because if you think about it like that, well, yeah, I wouldn't have signed up. I'm going to have to be at the front line and see all this gruesome things. No, hard pass. Like, I probably would have not signed up. So I think you're thinking of it wrong. I think anybody who has a moral compass to do what's right has their own courage. Like, we all are courageous in one way or another. I'm not courageous in the fact that if something is happening in front of my face, to stand up against it. Like, I might not have that kind of courage, but I have courage in different ways. So I don't know. I think that is a very black and white way to think of it, and it's not black and white. Like, it's very gray, serving your country, because there's different ways you can do it. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're trained to hold the line and to fight and shoot if you have to, but there's so many jobs that, like, if it gets to that point, the war is already lost. If it gets to me and I have to hold the line, we're screwed. But I don't know. But at the same time, like, at least you know, like, where you're at. I don't think it has anything to do with the courage of a soldier. I think it's just the courage of you and who you are and what you know you can and can't do. I think that's where everybody's courageous in their own right. It's just we're courageous in different ways.
Okay. Well, I still don't think I could do it. Oh, I don't know. It would have to be like well, you're going to die this way, or you can go fight and die that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next episode. I called it, I didn't write a name down. I didn't have a name for it. What's the name of this one?
Insurgents.
They just have the weirdest names.
So this is where Lex finds out that his office area in his castle, supposedly, was bugged. And so he goes through and he finds all these bugs because he lost this huge deal that only him and this other guy knew about to his dad. And so he goes through his whole place and he finds all the bugs. So he's like, oh yeah, two can play at this game. So then his idea is to bug his dad's office. So he plans to do that, and it all falls apart. And what else is happening in this episode?
That's it's Jonathan and Martha's anniversary.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so Clark's trying to, because his dad's angry about his mom having to work on their anniversary, and Clark's trying to smooth the wrinkles of his parents' relationship.
So he has an idea to borrow Lex's helicopter, which Lex is like, sure, I'll let you borrow my helicopter. Why not? To fly
why does Clark always go to Lex for his help with his parents when his dad hates the Luthers so much? Like, why does he do that? Because his dad's going to be angry about it.
Right.
And Lex is always eager to help, but Jonathan sees it as Lex trying to buy into their family or get information on them or whatever Jonathan's problem is. But why does Clark keep doing it when it makes his dad so angry is what I don't understand.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so then come to find out that the people that he hired to bug his dad's corporate office are actually there to rob his dad.
Yep.
And all folly ensues.
Yep, because inside Lionel's huge vault is not money. It's a whole bunch of kryptonite and files on a whole bunch of people in Smallville, one of them being a file on Clark. And the reason why we find out about all of this stuff is because Martha is with Lionel at the office when these guys are there.
Yeah.
I had a thought while I was watching it and, Lex freaking out about being listened in on by his dad, is I'm like, cell phones do that to us now. Like, they listen to us.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when you talk about something and then you open up your phone and it pops up all these things that you were talking about, and you're like, what the heck? How much are we being listened to? See, so probably like a year or two ago, I went in and like disabled a whole bunch of stuff on my phone. So like my phone has no idea what's going on. Or it does, and that I just can't tell. Maybe the government is listening in on me, but I like made it so like when my phone is off, it isn't like working. It isn't picking up anything. Now maybe they override that and they don't care. Like, I don't know. That's the cynical part of me. Like, maybe they are listening in anyway, but why would they listen in on me? I have no idea.
I don't know. Because I think that same thing. Because I go through spouts of like where I care and I want to revolt and not use certain devices because they're listening. And then I'm like, who cares? What are they going to get from me? I don't know. A sale, good for them. You spent $1 million just to show me
the pair of shoes that I want.
Yeah. It's like, good job. It is interesting because at what point is it like I don't care because I'm not against the United States, so I won't ever be arrested for anything I look up.
Right.
Or two, it's like you're listening to a boring person, so good luck.
There's been times where like I've watched a show and because of something that goes on in the show, I'm like, how does that actually work? And I look up like weird stuff. Like, how do you make a bomb? Or if I murdered somebody this way, how would that work? And I'm like, sometimes I have weird stuff that I look up. And do I look like a psychopath because of, the things that are in my search history? Has a job ever asked too much of you? Because, Martha ends up going in on her anniversary that she didn't want to go, but, Lionel was like, you need to come. And so she went anyway because she likes her job. Yeah. And I was just curious, did a job ever ask too much of you that you're like, why am I even doing this for this job?
Yep. Yeah. So I was in HR and I hated it. I had no education towards it. So I was just doing like the basic minimal stuff. And it's such a dumpster department in every business because everything gets dumped into that department.
All the
And
bad
so
things. Yeah.
all the bad things, and it's also underappreciated because you're spending half of your time taking care of the dumpster stuff, and then you don't get to do the other things unless you actually, I don't know, it depends on the company, but the one I was working in, they didn't care. And so I wanted to get out. So I wanted to try my hand at recruiting. I spent close to 10 hours a day doing that job. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like there were days where it was like 9 to 10 hours because they just were trying to hire that many people. And I was so new that I was also trying to get the hang of it. And I was getting it, but I was miserable. Like I hated it.
I remember how miserable you were. I didn't realize that you were working that much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was working a ton. And this was before kids, so I could get away with it. But I mean, I hardly saw Matt and I hardly got to do anything fun, and I was there early, I was there late, like it was miserable. And so I was like, no, I'm out. I'm done. So I switched back to HR. How about you?
I have this mentality when it comes to jobs. And I think because of my CF, it kind of put this always in my mind that life's too short to be in a job that I would hate.
Yeah.
And so I've never even applied for jobs that might be something I'm not interested in.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. Like, if I'm not interested in it, I'm not even going to apply for it.
Nice.
So I've never been in that situation where I was like, this job asks too much of me.
That's awesome. That's a good thing to have not had happen to you.
But there are like with my previous job, when I was working nights again, I realized I couldn't do that anymore because that's why when we moved and I had an opportunity to, quit that job and do something new when we moved here, that I was like, I'm not going to get another nighttime job because that's just, I'm too old.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I hear you, because there's times where I have to work later or I have to make up hours and I'm staying up late and I can't, it totally wipes me out. Like I can't do it anymore. Yeah. We're getting old.
We are. Oh, Kindy, I woke up and my back hurt and I was just like, oh, what is happening to me? Like the whole day, my back just hurt. And then the next day it hurt worse. And I was like,
oh no.
Is this what getting old feels like?
I always thought it was so weird and annoying when old people just would talk about their ailments and like everything that's breaking and falling apart. I was like, why are you so obsessed with your body falling apart? And now I get it. It's because you're still shocked. Yeah. Your mentality is you're in your 20s and you're bewildered and shocked at how your body is betraying you each day.
Yeah, isn't where your mentality is.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, my back hurts and all I did was sleep. Why? This is so weird.
Or, okay, so like 3 weeks ago, I woke up and my shoulder hurt. I'm a side sleeper, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of a long tangent. Sorry, everybody. So my
kind of been doing that this time.
Yeah. So my shoulder hurt. And I was like, okay, whatever. I couldn't lift my arm up all the way, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then the next day it hurt worse. And the day after that, it hurt worse. And I finally went to Kyle and I was like, my arm's been hurting. I think it's because I sleep on my side. Because I couldn't think of anything I did. Like, I didn't do anything strenuous. I didn't, nothing. We played keepy uppy with a balloon, right? And I dove for one of them. And I'm like, that can't be it. That can't be it. And so then I slept on my back. I forced myself by surrounding myself with pillows and everything.
Oh, okay.
So I'd sleep on my back. The next day it hurt even worse where I couldn't even move my arm. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I was something's going on. Kyle had to help me dress and, like it was bad. Like I couldn't move it at all. And then the day after that, it hurt even worse. So this is like, I think Friday. And I was just like crying. And I was like, this is so bad. Like, what is going on? And I was like, tomorrow, let's go into like the doctor. Well, it was late. And so let's go into the urgent care. And we went in and they took an x-ray and they're like, you have a calcified tendon, calcium buildup on one of your tendons.
What?
And they're like, it gets aggravated like if you sleep on your side or whatever. And in my rotator cuff. So it's a tendon in my rotator cuff that has calcium buildup on it. And they're like, that's just from like how the calcium gets built up on it is just like from doing stuff with your arms. And
so what, I'm not supposed to do things with my arms?
And they're like, so we recommended you to, I can't even think of an obstetrician. And so then the next week I went into the obstetrician and he was like, okay, I can give you a cortisone shot and that, or steroid shot, and that might be able to be enough that it will be okay after that. Like sometimes it helps break down the calcium on it. Sometimes it just needs that time for the nerves to rest and then it will be okay. And I was like, okay. And so I'm still like with my arm in a sling, not able to do anything. And he gave me that cortisone shot. And after a few days, I was back to normal. But I was just like, what is happening that sleeping made it so I couldn't even move my arm?
And it kept getting worse.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Even though I was like not sleeping on it.
Yeah.
Or not even doing anything with that arm. Like,
yeah, that's true.
It was crazy that it just kept getting progressively worse. And I'm like, I'm old. What's going on? So yeah, hopefully it stays better, but who knows? Maybe in like a couple months I'll need to actually get surgery on my rotator cuff. Like I have no idea. And luckily it's my left arm. It isn't my right arm that I do everything with, but still.
maybe that's the thing. Your right arm's moving more intricately than your left, so maybe you need to learn how to write with your left so that it doesn't have buildup. I don't know.
The using of it more will break down the calcium?
No, because the muscles that you use to write with or to do like intricate work is different than what you do with your other hand. So maybe
but it's not my intricate. But it's up here.
Or your arm. Whatever. I don't know. Still, that's the orthopedic. The occupational therapist was saying that your rotator cuff, your muscles here, are the ones that help give you strength to do the little tiny, to be able to write. Because that's Emmeline's, or Emmeline, the younger's occupational therapist said that. She's learning how to write, so I don't know. Maybe that won't apply to you since you already know how to write with your right hand.
Yeah, but not with my left. Maybe it will help it.
So, maybe it will. I don't know.
My writing with my left hand looks like a 2-year-old. Like it's awful.
Yeah.
Probably baby Emmeline can write better than me.
I doubt that because she's at 0. So
so am I.
You're a lot further ahead of her in that area. But okay, so you've got something about celebrating
back to
holidays.
Smallville.
Yeah, back to Smallville. We gotta get focused. Maybe. Celebrating holidays.
So, well, first thing I wanted to say, there's this point where I don't know if you noticed this, but Jonathan's packing this, basket for him and Martha's anniversary dinner, right?
Yeah.
And he put like this Tupperware of salad and this Tupperware of this and this Tupperware of that and Tupperware of this, right? Mm-hmm. And then he takes this plate of fried chicken and sets it on top. And I was like, why didn't you put it in a Tupperware? Like, it's just going to fling all over in the basket. as soon as you walk with it.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to showcase how pretty the chicken looked, but I was
know.
like, who would do that? Nobody in the world would put just a plate with fried chicken on it in a basket without like saran wrapping it or...
So the reason why I say it, guys, because my lovely husband put an empty Go-Gurt thing in my purse. I pull it out. I'm like, honey, why did you put this in here? He's like, it's garbage. My purse is not a garbage dump. Like perplexed.
Did
he thought that was
some
okay.
get out in your purse?
Thankfully, no. Or at least I haven't found it.
Oh, well, you'd be able to smell it.
But yeah, that is true. Yeah. So he got out enough that it didn't like go into my purse. But I was like, this is, not only is it the diaper bag, it is my purse. Like, this is, so I can definitely see someone doing that.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
That is a thing that people do.
Okay, so what stock do you put into celebrating holidays on the actual day? Because Jonathan's really upset that Martha can't do their anniversary. And she's like, how about we do it later? Like, how about we celebrate our anniversary on another day? And he's like, how dare you suggest such a... He didn't say that.
Yeah, he was pretty put off.
But he was upset that she has to go into her job on the day. See, for us as a family, we celebrate holidays all over the place. Like birthdays, obviously, when it's a kid, Saturdays work best, right? So sometimes you don't do it on the actual day. But like Christmas, for a lot of years, for Lorenzo growing up and now Clark, where we would be visiting family, we would celebrate. We'd tell them, like, we contacted Santa and let him know that we're going to be celebrating Christmas early, so he's bringing your presents early. And like the day itself isn't important. The celebration of the thing that you're celebrating, that's the important part, in my opinion. So what's your opinion there?
So we hardly travel when it comes to holidays. Like Christmas, we did it when we were single, but not so much with the kids. So for our family, like Christmas and Thanksgiving are the days that we celebrate on the day of, but Thanksgiving is also a day where you go to other people's houses. So, but there's always a day where we're eating somewhere, whether it's home or at someone's house. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of the same way, where birthdays and anniversaries are celebrated whenever you can do it. And then Halloween, that one you kind of can't, because it's dependent upon your neighbors.
Right.
So I think it just depends on the holiday. For us, Christmas is celebrated on Christmas, but we never done it to where you guys do it, where you're going somewhere on Christmas, but you're still celebrating it on Christmas. Like, it's not like you're going somewhere and they don't celebrate it on Christmas. Or
right.
You just
they celebrate it, but we celebrate it separate, I guess is what. So it's like we get Christmas twice, mostly because we don't want to have to move and hide all the presents and stuff.
Yeah. No, Christmas for us is on Christmas and Halloween, I would say, are the days that are not celebrated. And then everything else is kind of just depends on what's going on.
You do. So
and
for Halloween, there's a lot of times where the church will put on a little thing, and it isn't necessarily on the day. Or you go to parties.
We just go trick-or-treating. I guess that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Trick-or-treating.
Because we do trunk or treats where we dress up in our costumes and go, and it isn't necessarily on the holiday.
Yeah, so in our area, there isn't any trunk or treating. We go trick or treating around the neighborhood.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Which I love, but at the same time, when Halloween ends on a weekday, I am totally thrown off because I don't know what the norm is. Like, I have to ask my sister. I'm like, okay, since Halloween is on Thursday, when is trick or treating? Then she'll tell me, oh, it's on Friday, or oh, it's on Saturday. I was like, okay, because I don't know, or I just wait for people to start trick or treating. I'm like, oh, okay, it's today.
Let's go.
All right, kids, let's go. Yeah.
Put on your costume. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have?
I don't have anything. This is all you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This one was mostly just a watching. The only thing I had was how I always think that Jonathan is a hypocrite when it comes to Lex. I hate how hard he is on him for the sins of his father. I hate how he treats him, because I like Lex. I want him to have a chance and to like be welcomed into the fold, but he's not. He never will, because he is cheeky, and Clark can sense that. If he senses it with Lana, he definitely senses it with Lex, and so they can't trust him ever. And so every time he's such a jerk to Lex, like he was with the helicopter, giving him the helicopter, he was such a jerk. I'm always like, you are such a hypocrite. You had Lionel help you, and here you are swatting at this kid's hand, giving you a gift.
Yeah.
An attempt to be nice, but then Lex always does something to where it proves Jonathan right. So every time, because I write it down, I'm like, why is he such a hypocrite? But then later he finds something out. I'm like, he's always proven correct. Yep. So it's
well, see, this time Lex stood up to Jonathan, and I really liked it. He was like, I have tried to be helpful. I've tried to show you that I'm not my dad, and I am tired of it. Like, I am walking out, and that's it. Like, see you later, Mr. Kent. And
which I
really liked it. Yeah, I was like, good job, Lex. Like, stop taking that guy's crap.
Yeah.
and then later in the episode, Jonathan had to go to him and he didn't actually apologize. Like, which I was mad about. I was like, Lex should have just waited until he said he was sorry. And Jonathan and Lex get there with the helicopter, and lo and behold, they run into Clark, who's already there. How do you explain that, Clark?
Wait, what?
Well, he didn't take the helicopter ride, but he's in Metropolis.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, right? Yeah. Why isn't Clark coming? Why is he staying behind? Is what would have conspired if we were in on that conversation. Yeah, that's true. That never comes up conveniently. There's a lot of that. It's so annoying. Like, there are conversations where Pete and Clark are talking about his abilities, and there's people around.
Yes.
Like, it's hello.
Lower your voice. Go somewhere where there are other people.
Right. It's so annoying. It's like, how dumb are the people in Smallville? Like, they are stupid. They are so dumb.
So what did you think of Lionel giving Martha a present on her anniversary?
Super inappropriate, especially the inscription. Deep affection. It's like, affection. Where do you get off? You are my boss.
And then he so I was watching this one with Lorenzo again. And there's 3 parts where he touches her hand. And Lorenzo's like, Lionel's blind, so he gets to be creepy. He gets a free pass on being creepy because he's blind.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, that was funny.
That was good. But it just, especially how they're clinging to each other when they're being held hostage. It's like, that's your boss. You would not be that close to him. Inappropriate all the way around.
Yeah. And then Clark does this thing where he jumps from the Daily Planet into Luthor Corp to go save him, right?
Yeah.
And Clark busts into the room where the bad guys are, and Lionel, who's blind, and Martha. And what does Martha do? Here's a dumb...
She yells his name.
She's like
the
Clark!
20 times. Oh my gosh. So I know. I was so annoyed with that. It's like he could have no idea what's happening, and you're like
giving it away,
throwing him under the bus.
Yeah.
Like, she did that in another episode too, where she yelled his name. It's like, you are so dumb for trying to protect this kid. You are doing a terrible job at it.
It was the last 4 episodes we watched. It was the one with the poetry, where she's riding on the helicopter with Lionel, and
oh yeah,
the kid shows up and yanks the and she's like, Clark, and you're like, shut up, Martha.
Yeah, she's kind of a...
Let me give away your secret identity.
Well, she already has. She's a freaking liability. Like, if anything, she's the one that has showed his hand.
Oh, so many times.
Oh, so many times. Yeah.
I'm trying to protect you, Clark. Clark!
But I'm going to yell out your name anytime you're close. Yeah. And you can't give me that crap of like, oh, well, she's in despair. I have been in situations where I could have freaked out and I didn't. Like, you can be more aware of your surroundings, especially with that huge burden. Like, if you're that worried about your kid getting exposed, you shut your mouth.
Yeah.
You don't yell out your kid's name.
Anyway, then, Clark saves the day, and
there is a point before Clark gets up there where, well, he's in the process of flying into the window, but Lex is on the phone with the bad guys because he has contact with them because they were supposed to put the bug, but it turns out they were bad guys. They killed the main bug guy, and then the bad guys kept the phone. So he's talking to them throughout this whole thing, trying to figure out. And then he finds out what's in the safe, and he's like, "You don't hurt Lionel or Martha, and I will make sure that you can get out, and you take that stuff with you." And this is where Jonathan hears him, and so that's where he's proven right. Because his mistrust in Lex, because he overhears this conversation. He's like, protect
You're talking with
Lex.
the bad guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So my favorite Superman reference, it isn't a quote this time. It's music. So after Clark makes the jump from the Daily Planet into Luthor Corp, he kind of like crashes through a window and runs into a wall. And right when he stands up from running into the wall, he has this victory smile on his face, right?
Yeah.
And then you hear 3 notes of music. And these 3 notes are from the Superman theme song.
Oh, nice.
And I just loved that. I was like, "Oh, it's the beginning. It's the beginning." So I really liked that. What was your eye roll moment?
Oh my gosh. There were a lot. But it's at the beginning of the Skinwalker episode, the cave one, where Clark and Peter are riding around on the motorcycles. Mm-hmm. And you can tell there's a double because the build, the facial expressions, the hair is not the same. So you can tell it's a double. So it's when the Clark's double is riding around on the motorcycle. He takes all these turns and he goes down this hill and he's making all these jumps and stuff. Like, they're not crazy jumps. And then he hits a tree trunk that's small. This isn't like a huge log. This is a small log. Like, he could have jumped over it or motorcycled over it, and he hits it and flies over. Like, they could have done it totally different, but he flies over the handlebars and lands into the cave hole and then falls through into the cave. And but yeah, that was my eye roll moment where I was like, oh, are you freaking kidding me? So
I get that. Yeah. Next episode,
so we're gonna do this again. We're gonna do episode 13 through 16 in season 2. So watch out for that, or watch it if you want to follow along with us talking and critiquing and all the things. We would love to hear from you. We post a question on our Facebook page along with the pictures from the episode. So if you want to check those out or respond there, we do pay attention to that. You can reach out to us even on Facebook or our email. There are links to both of those on our website, and they will also be in the show notes.
And we would love to have you help us grow by subscribing to our podcast. You can tell others about stuff with moms and how we're watching Smallville. Share something you learned with them, like how Kindy and I realized we're getting old. And that we go on weird tangents sometimes.
Yeah.
We would like to thank Red Productions for our music. We think it's snazzy and we love it. So, and Jonica for our logo. It's the best, and we always want to give a shout out to her because she's awesome. And our listeners, we appreciate you.
Toodle pip.
You did it.
So, Emmeline the younger she's not verbal. She chats. She's chatty, but it's just blabbing and not hot nonsense most of the time. But there are moments when you have a kid and they say something or they do something in a mannerism that you know that they're like getting after you, and then they just walk off. So we finally had that moment with Emmeline. So Anders had gone outside and he was going to take apart this rock that he got from the fire station. And so it's one of those plaster rock things, and there's something inside of it. And so you have to soak it, or you just hammer at it until you can get to the thing. Mm-hmm. So he goes outside to do that. And Emmeline loves going outside. So any chance she has to go outside, she'll take it. So he goes outside, he shuts the door. She's over there by the door doing something. Me and Matt are sitting in the living room on our chairs, and she comes over to me and she tells me what for, taps me on the knee and points to the door. And so, and me and Matt just start laughing because she is like, we're going outside. You, Mom, I'm tapping you on the knee. We're going outside right there. Let's go. And so, and then she starts walking over there, like doesn't even stop to wait for me to move. She's just like, I'm telling you, this is what we're doing, and we're going to go do it with a tap on the knee and a pointing, and I'm walking.
Come on, Mom.
Yeah.
That's great.